On this day in 1969, the three Apollo astronauts splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, completing their historic mission.
John Wolfram is a former Navy SEAL who helped to pull the astronauts from their capsule that day. Recently, he shared with Charlene Israel more on that experience and his life beyond Apollo 11.
John, you were the first in the water that day. What was it like to play such a part in an important moment in our nation's history?
Well, at 20 years of age, it was an awesome experience, of course, but we also had a responsibility. The safety of the astronauts were foremost on our mind, getting them back onto the ship with their moon cargo. Well, actually, I was the first man in the water. I swam up to the capsule and looked into the hatch window, and they all gave me a thumbs up, letting me know that they were okay. But we were under quarantine procedures. We had scuba gear on with our mouthpieces. And when they came out into the raft, they had their biological isolation garments on. So all we could do was kind of wink and smile and just mumble a little bit.
And you were also among the elite of our armed forces. You received commendations for your service in Vietnam. And you also played an important role in our nation's history. Yet your life was still unfulfilled. What was missing in your life?
Well, we know it today as Jesus, but back then I was looking, searching. I tried to preoccupy my life with activity. Going through the Navy, didn't have a whole lot of time to think. But once I got into the Vietnam situation, facing life and death, of course you think about those most important questions in life. Where am I going to be if I die? And that got me thinking about the Lord.
John, we actually understand that you've written a book and it has a lot of your testimony entailed in that. Tell us a little bit more about your testimony, what God's done for you.
Well, after the Apollo rescues, I went on a downward spiral. I got involved in the drug scene. I ended up going back to Vietnam for the second time. I was in a hotel room hallucinating on LSD, and I almost took my life. I heard these hideous voices condemning me. I walked over to the bed. I picked up a 9mm pistol, and I had that gun to my head when I heard the voice of the Lord speak, and it said, "John, I'm here, and I love you, and I've got a plan for your life." And that got my attention, and I cried out to the Lord. I wasn't saved then, but I heard his voice, and he started working in my life in a miraculous way.
What is it like to actually go back and minister to the people that you actually served with, like the people in Vietnam? What is it like now?
When I landed in Hanoi, walking the streets, people recognized that I was an American, and they found out that I fought in the war. Some man came out of the shadows, and he grabbed me, and he held me in an embrace. I got kind of nervous after about 30 seconds because he didn't let go. But then I realized what was happening. He couldn't speak English, I couldn't speak Vietnamese, but he was saying, "Hey man, the war's over. I've moved on, how about you?" And it was at that moment that I felt God calling me. He said, "John, you're going to come back to this country. You're not going to be carrying an M16 this time, but you're going to be carrying my Bible, and you're going to present my word to these people." And that's what I've been doing.
And how did the people begin responding to the ministry that you have?
Well, first of all, I encountered Christians that were underground. When I first went into Vietnam, it was very dangerous to do missionary work. Many of the pastors that I was trying to encourage had just come out of jail. They were confiscating Bibles. It was kind of like cloak and dagger stuff. We'd had to baptize people in bathtubs in hotels and then run down the street because the police were right behind us. Those were very exciting days. But today things are changing. There's about 87 million people in Vietnam, and there's a great hunger for the Lord Jesus Christ over there. And there's a beginning of a revival taking place in that country.